Hey there, I made the following video a while back to teach you about lighting your products properly. I find that if you have a lousy camera but very good lighting, you get good photographs. If you have a very good camera and lousy lighting, you'll get bad photographs. Lighting makes all the difference in the world. How important are your pictures? Come on, your buyers aren't there to feel and touch and look over your item. We've got to convince our buyers from 1,000 miles away to buy our product over someone who's trying to compete against us. That often comes down to our photograph might be better than theirs, just makes our item look better. And you need to fix your lighting in almost every case. Now, the lighting that I'm about to teach you is the perfect eBay lighting. However, it does not give you a white background for that first picture. That earlier on this channel, I proved to you how important a white background is, even though it's not required right now by eBay, surprisingly. This lighting will not get you there, but it will allow almost any white background, such as eBay's white background tool. It'll allow almost any white background fixer to fix your photographs. If you've had trouble in the past because it hasn't really been able to tell background from your product in certain cases, you're going to find it works much better as long as your lighting is proper. And all of your photos are just going to look better. Your items are just going to look like they're 3D almost on your listings. So pay attention. A lot of people don't want to spend, $100 for lights for their eBay. I don't understand that, because you're going to sell far more than $100 worth soon if you have decent pictures because of decent lighting that you may not have right now. So you've got to trust me on this. I know what I'm doing. I'm the ultra advanced on eBay guy, and here is what you need to know, and only what you need to know, to make your photographs look ultra advanced.
You need to know about this setup to understand the way photography works. So you need a little bit of insight into it. 3 lights for still photography or even portrait photography is common. It is one of the best ways to get a very good picture without too much effort. So I use these box lights, and they have coverings so that you don't see the actual light bulbs, and that will help reduce glare on any item that you use. So I've got 3. I'll do a graphic in a little bit. 2 of them point directly to my item at 45-degree angles, down a little bit, and one sort of comes from the top back. This is a set of ammunition that I'm selling on Gunbroker, so I'm doing a photograph here. My white background is actually photographic vinyl. I use vinyl and not photography paper because it's easier to clean. This is my photography setup. What's happening is a 3-point lighting system is one of the most common lighting systems possible when it comes to photography. And people use 3-point lighting for lots of things. Portrait studios, even films, will use a 3-point photography in certain scenes in order to grab a certain effect. That's really the minimum of what you need. A lot of you have light boxes that you like. Great. Stick with whatever works, but unless you buy a life-size light box, they have full clothing size light boxes now that are 6 foot, 8 foot tall, something like that. You can hang a dress in it, take a photograph, and it's a light box. Unless you have something like that, you're going to need something larger once in a while. You should consider and understand these photography techniques. I'm not trying to make you a photography expert, but what I use is this basic 3-point lighting that uses 3 lights. It uses a backlight, a fill light, and a key light. And these front 2 can be set different ways. Normally, on standard portraits, these might be more in line. They might be symmetrical. This is asymmetrical, where one's closer to the subject than the other. What generally happens is that both of them are equidistant from each other at a 45-degree angle to the subject. Even though this is a person, let's assume it's something we're trying to sell. But what the key light does, it's the brightest of these 2 lights. Your fill light should always be dimmer. Sometimes people move a fill light back because they don't have the ability to adjust down the brightness. So I would bring this back up. Well, I would get lights. I did get lights that are adjustable. And most of the box lights you find these days are actually surprisingly inexpensive. You can buy a 3-point setup with all of the stands, with everything that you saw that I have for $100 on Amazon. I'll show you in a second. So you want your key light and your fill light to be equidistant. The key light should be brighter than the fill light. It really doesn't matter which side it is, but one side turned down. Now on non-portrait still life photography, on product photos, your fill light is whichever one is lower. On product photos, you want the fill light to only be about 85% of the edge of your key light. Again, most box lights that are relatively inexpensive are fully adjustable, 1 to 100% of their normal brightness. You would bring these both together on their stands and drop the fill light down to about 85% of the key light, and you'll want to test. You might find it works better at 70%, the ones that I use actually have a dial from 0 to 100, so you can really get pretty close here. Whenever I say 85%, you can pretty much get 85% of its normal brightness. So if these are equidistant, 45 degrees to each other, to the product, and your fill light's going to be about 85%, depending on your lights, you might play with that. Always keep your key light full brightness, but your fill light should be a little bit lower. Now, you can get some interesting effects by going much lower, by going 50%, but that's more used in film type of photography, on certain portrait photography when you want a certain effect. I doubt your product photos will look very good if you drop this below 75% or so, and probably you'll find the best percentage to be 85% here. Your backlight, full brightness. It's really nice whenever there's a person and you don't have a table here. You don't need the overarm to pull that backlight over and behind the product that you're photographing, which is what I had to do. But all of the 3-point lighting systems come with a way for your backlight to be hung overhead and behind your product. But in order to have something on a table and then you have a table backdrop and all of that, the backlight has to be hung on kind of the stand that I showed you. I actually prefer the drop just to save the room. Otherwise, you're going to have to bring this back so much that who has that much extra room in their photography? So on Amazon, you can get these lots of places. I think I paid $69 or $79 for mine. Look around, do price comparison, and they all look just like this, and they've all got these stands, and that bag right there is a sandbag that you can fill up so that you can extend this backlight here way over your table and point it kind of behind the product so it shines on the back of the item more than the top or the front. You don't want it on the front. That's what your key light is for. Comes complete, great light bulbs, LEDs, and so forth. All come with these portable carrying cases. This infuriates me because I don't want to spend the money. I'm not taking this anywhere. I'm not a photography guy going around photographing weddings. I don't want all of the cost of these. Everything comes with a to-go bag. Each one of these poles come with a bag, and everything comes with a little bag inside this big bag, inside a box within a box within a box, and then you've got this handle thing. And to me, that just adds like 10% of the cost. I wish we could get that without it. As I said, you'll see a lot of these. They look just like this. And as I was preparing this for you, I realized, well, that's just some private label guy. He just gets it where everyone else gets it. Where would that be? Oh, probably China. Okay, well, where would that be? Well, probably Alibaba. So if you go to Alibaba, you no doubt will find tons of these real cheap if you wanted to private label your own. And if you go to Alibaba Express, I went to Alibaba Express. I don't know if you know about Alibaba Express. This is like a middleman distributor in China for Alibaba, and they charge more, but instead of selling 100 of an item that you would have to do if you went to Alibaba, they just sell 1 or 2, however many you want, and they add a markup. Now I noticed every one of these you will see probably for sale on Amazon. Light boxes, all of this stuff. If you scroll down, there we go. That's our setup right there. Same sandbag, light bulbs, everything's the same. This is a 3-point setup. Now they're selling these for $94, and that's no deal, but remember this is AliExpress. So Alibaba is going to sell these much cheaper, but you'd have to buy multiple quantities. Now, I am not telling you to go to AliExpress to buy one of these. I'd much rather see you just pay a little bit more and get it, on Amazon where you can get a guaranteed price. I just thought this was interesting. You look at this, and I've seen 10 of these. Mountain Dog is not the one I bought. I don't remember the name of mine, but As I was prepping this for you, I realized I've seen tons of these that look just like that. This is a private label. I don't even think they took photography of their name. I just think they had someone add this text. Now it's probably on. They probably private label this, and it's actually on their screens and their carrying case. But I bet for this photo, every one of these photos look the same on Amazon. I think, I remember. So, I mean, they do. So they probably didn't even take new photos of their equipment. They just added their name. Just interesting. As resellers, we can always do the very same thing. No problem. Just something to consider when you start seeing the same thing over and over. You could sell these too. I'm not encouraging you to do that, but you could. And you check anytime you're ordering anything for $100 or more that might be someone's private label, because you might find it significantly cheaper on AliExpress and make it worth buying there. I don't know. Okay, so here's the setup again. They're trying for a different approach. You can't even really see how this is working. This is actually not accurate because the backlight is on the side. If that's supposed to be the back, no, here's the backlight. It's on the back, but it's not really shooting towards the back of the subject or the product, and these two are not well situated 45-degree angles at the same level, which is usually what you want. Not always, depending on the effect, but for product photography, you want the setup I showed you here, only you want these to be equidistant. I'll warn you, this is a hassle in one respect, and that is you have your product on a table, you have these two lights, your key light and fill light, highlighting your product, and your backlight's turned on. It's kind of a hassle to get in between these and do a lot of product manipulation as you're changing angles, especially something like a large appliance, because you've got these lights on either side. So these lights are easy to bump into the sides. It doesn't hurt anything, but it just messes up the angle, and you've got to re-angle them. You might consider, I should, but I never take the time. I just kind of squeeze in and do stuff. You might consider just moving one of the lights, the key light or the fill light, to the left or right, just so you can get in there and mess with the product and put the light right back. I wish this were on rollers. That would be kind of nice. But then I've got carpet where I have my photograph area right now. So that probably wouldn't work well unless they were nice, wheels or of some kind, tires. But anyway, so this is an introduction to your 3-light system. Now, you will find lots of reasons why and ways to adjust and make things better with your 3-light photography. If you decide to invest in one of these, you will find ways to make it better. Just search 3-light photography setup in YouTube. You'll find tons of videos. And this proves to you that 3-light setups are something you should know about. I mean, this is a common thing. I don't believe any professional photographer would take a product picture with only a 2-light setup. Most of them won't with a light box unless they really have a high-end light box that they can control really well. Because the problem with the light box is it puts the light equally on your product, and that's going to always have a darker gray background, always, and it's going to not have the key light effect with the lower wattage light on the left or right than your primary light. So I don't think any photographer would take professional product photos with most light boxes that we have. Now, that doesn't mean a light box is bad, but you need to know for $99, $129, whatever a light box costs for the standard light box that work well, you need to know there's a trade-off there versus you being able to control the light a little bit better with the 3-point lighting system. And my 3-point lighting system, this is cheap. It's cheap. I mean, really, $100 is cheap. And you're going to need more than your light box once in a while. So if you just put a table here for all your products and have these 3 lights, then you don't ever need a light box. You get the perfect lighting better than a light box from this structure. Now, you see that. Food for thought. If you don't want to do this now, when your eBay business grows even more, you should make it a goal to have a 3-point lighting system